Hey guys, so it's been a busy news weekend, and this whole thing with Joe Rogan and The Rock has pretty much been a big topic over the weekend. And unfortunately, I felt that Joe Rogan lost a bit of footing as far um, as I can tell. I just got the sense that he lost some footing. He went backwards with his apology for using the N word, etc., etc. I just think that he was in his right to use the N word. I'm not one of those people who actually care about how the media tells you what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. I don't give a crap about any of that stuff. All right. Only because they don't seem to care as much when somebody uses the F word for gays, somebody uses the C word for Asians, somebody uses the S word for Latinos. They don't care. But when it comes to the N word, oh, it's off limits. I don't care. All right. I've used it before, but I've only used it because somebody else, a black lady, used a racist term towards me. And I have a policy where, whoever throws out anything racist, they can get whatever, they can get nuked with any racist term because they started that. All right. You don't get sucker punched and then not fight back. You're gonna have to fight back. So that's the way that is. But here's some pushback on The Rock. Apparently he when he was a wrestler in the early 2000s or whatever, he did a really racist Chinese impression. And that's been making the rounds. I actually watched it. Here's the thing. The Rock is half Samoan. They want to say he's half black, but his dad ain't directly from Africa, so The Rock is actually... His dad, I'm going to assume his dad is maybe... Rocky Johnson is maybe like 60% black, and the other 30% is white, and then 10% native or whatever. So essentially The Rock is more... Asian than he is black. All right, let's all keep it real on this whole race thing about blacks in America. Majority of blacks in America are mulattoes. They're not actually black. The blacks from Africa are black. The blacks from America, majority of them are mulattoes. All right, it's very rare that you get a black in America whose DNA, if you did a DNA test, would come back like 99% black. When majority, 30% of them actually have the white DNA from the slave masters. That's 30%. That's 3 out of every 10. And then 60% of them actually have some kind of mixed race with some other race. And that's a fact. That's a statement of fact. So The Rock, being mostly Samoan, Samoans are considered Asian. Pacific Islanders, Asian. So if The Rock wanted to, I guess he could say it was him just making fun of Asian people. It'd be a stretch though. But you can see his slanty eyes, his face. He has an Asian face. He just looks like he looks huge, but like he's on steroids, but he does have an Asian look about him, and that actually came from his Samoan side. But he, he shouldn't have done that to begin with. I don't know if he's actually done anything as far as made fun of black people directly. If he ever actually did a semi-racist caricature or insults of a black person. I don't know if that actually exists, I mean, if that exists, that might actually just, he could actually say that this is all that was all an act. You know, when he was doing WWE, it was an act, but it's still immensely racist. I know it's immensely racist because if you guys were around from like if you guys were around from 1995 to 2017, you guys know that Asian Americans, particularly Asian American males, were portrayed in the most racist way possible. That is a fact. All right, it started with Mad TV, with the whole Bobby Lee racist, his whole step and fetch it act that he did as an Asian character, and then it pretty much progressed to Kim Jong, and every single Asian male that was actually cast in virtually every single production from 1995 to 2017 was an absolutely stereotypical racist caricature. All right, previous to 95, you had Dean Cain, who was, you can see Dean Cain was part Asian, who was cast as Superman. Jason Scott Lee, the guy was on the verge of being an A-lister. He had a huge movie with Kurt Russell. Asian Americans before that spoke perfect English. You know, Barney Miller had an Asian American who spoke perfect English. Prince of Darkness had 2 Asian characters who spoke perfect English. The dude from 16 Candles, the Asian dude from 16 Candles, was kind of racist, but he did get, you know, a pretty thick white girl in that movie. All right. So Asian Americans, I remember Mad About You had a Korean American doctor. All right, they weren't who spoke perfect English. Dustin Nguyen was in 21 Jump Street. The guy was a good-looking guy, a semi-A type character. They even had an interracial coupling storyline between him and a white lady. So Asian Americans were portrayed pretty non-racistly, pretty fairly before 1995. It was when hip-hop took hold. These black people, and yes, I said these black people because I'm absolutely pissed about this. All right, and it's not just me saying that Asian Americans got the shaft from, you know, got sidelines, got the shaft, got absolutely racially, culturally terrorized from 1995 to 2017, right before cancel culture blew up. They got absolutely culturally terrorized, and it had some really bad social effects, but they did get socially terrorized by the blacks, and then unfortunately the Jews, you know, played along with that, and then and then the whites in the media played along with that. It was just absolutely heinous, and that's why this video of The Rock doing this racist Asian American caricature, ching-chonging, was normal. The blacks in hip-hop normalized their racism towards Asian Americans. They normalized it for a good two decades. And I am so pissed off that nobody has come out and absolutely gone after all these black people. Charles Barkley, during that whole Pacquiao versus Ricky Hand period, Charles Barkley had a racist segment on the show of Pacquiao drawing. Shaquille O'Neal did some racist Asian accent against Yao Ming when he was coming up, and all these black people, they just excuse their garbage. You know, they'll make excuses like that. They didn't even apologize. What they did was they made excuses for their racism. And that's been brought out so many times. It's been brought out so many times. The amount of stereotypes that got brought up was just horrendous. All right. For those two decades and a half, 25 years, these black people got to pay for this. You can't get away with something like this. You essentially diverted any kind of Asian American progress for 2 decades and a half, and they're still trying to do that. But they won't be able to do that, okay? These people want to bring back, the 2000s. You're not going to be able to bring back the 2000s like Donald Trump wanted to bring back the 1980s. You're not going to be able to do that because social media will find a way to point the finger at your racism. Thankfully, it absolutely incenses me that hip hop created this cultural anti-Asian cultural terrorism in the media, and then the whites and the blacks and then the whites and the Jews went along with it. All right. If you guys ever watch Family Guy, absolutely racist show when it comes to them depicting Asian Americans and Latino Americans. Absolutely racist. All right. South Park does the same thing. Absolutely racist Asian caricatures. But then when it comes to blacks and Jews, they're always using soft mittens for any kind of jokes or criticisms of them. It's always positive and neutral stereotypes when it comes to blacks and Jews. But when it came to Asians and Latinos and women and gays, they're just pretty much, they'll pretty much fire off any racist character, any racist thing that they could think of. And unfortunately, that created stereotypes that only recently have been diluted as a result of YouTube and social media and people being able to see on video an image outside of the racism that these people committed, and they have to answer for it. So obviously I'm looking at this, and even though it's The Rock and he might be part Asian, it's just hypocritical for anybody to point a finger at somebody and say you're racist, Joe Rogan, even though what Joe Rogan said isn't actually racist. It's just, he wasn't using it as a derogatory term towards a black person. It wasn't in that way. But why is it acceptable for The Rock to point a finger when he actually committed something that was racist towards another group? If you guys ever want to get at black people when they, I'm talking about the media, like these celebrities who point the finger at you and say, point the finger at white people and say you're racist. Just look back at what they've done. I'm talking about blacks and Jews. Look back at what they've done, and you'll be able to find something that they did that was extremely racist towards Asian Americans, Latino Americans, women, in the media within the last 25 years. I am hoping that at some point there would be a Me Too movement where Asian Americans, Latino Americans would be able to point the finger at blacks and Jews and whites and pretty much shine a light on the racism that was committed by them from 1995 to 2017. They're still trying to do that. They're still trying to divert Asian American progress, divert Latino American progress, They're still trying to divert all that stuff for their benefit. They're still trying to do that for their benefit, which is extremely wrong. All right, they shouldn't be using the media for their own personal racial branding, which they do. The Jews use the media for their own racial branding, which they do. All right, these groups get the tallest, best looking people in their race, the less than 1% of their race, to represent the other 99% of their average to fat to fugly looking people in their race. All right, but on top of that, what they'll do is they'll just do racial bashing of other people's racial brand. And this is racial branding. And if you guys think about it, this is where the proxy race war has been for the last 25 years. All right. The only thing that's changed with black people, as far as any progress they made over the last 25 years, has been them getting the Coca-Cola treatment as far as branding is concerned. All right, as far as them getting a cultural affirmative action program through the media, that's pretty much what they've gotten over the last 25 years. Outside of that, if you look at any negative statistics of black people, they're the same. They remain the same. There's really very, very little difference between 1995 and 2017. It's the same. They get freebies because of the color of their skin. All right? Which is wrong. All right? Every single thing they've gotten over the last 25 years has been freebies. All right? Affirmative action in schooling, affirmative action in the media, cultural affirmative action, this whole entire thing with Hollywood. All right, you guys shouldn't look at this as just entertainment. It's far from just entertainment. This whole Hollywood thing is a brainwashing tool for people, for races, for blacks, for Jews, even for whites. All right, what it is a brainwashing tool. All right, Latino Americans have been in this country, have been the largest minority in this country for a good 20 years now. 2000 was when they actually, as a minority, became the largest minority in this country, second to the whites. And over the last 2 decades, what progress have they made as far as the representation in Hollywood? All right, which is pretty much very, 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 very important. It's very, very, very important. All right, I don't know what Latinos are doing, but they really need to take the helm as far as their own representation is concerned, how they're represented, the amount of representation that could exist for them. They gotta fight for that. But let me just go back to this as far as The Rock and Joe Rogan is concerned. I'm not going to say this just for The Rock, but a lot of these celebrities in Hollywood, particularly blacks, are the biggest hypocrites on the planet. But all these people in Hollywood in general are just A, hypocrites, B, cowards. All right, B, cowards. The fact that the blacks were able to essentially push the Jews in a direction I'm pretty sure that the Jews didn't want to go, but they were able to use the race card and the whole civil rights thing to push their way into the spotlight for a good 25 years. There's something seriously, heinously wrong with that. All right, Hollywood should have been divvied up with a quota system for everybody, for Asian Americans, Latino Americans, for Indian Americans, for Arab Americans, and especially for Native Americans, okay? I remember a time when Native Americans actually had a huge cultural footprint. Pre-1995 had a pretty huge cultural footprint. That footprint is gone. That footprint is very tiny. And it is so shameful that the group that have been in this country, where the group that this country really belongs to, have pretty much been shoved out of the way, and the media been divided, you know, by blacks, whites, and Jews. The media, the U.S. media, you know, fortunately, since 2017, with social media, with YouTube, with social justice warriors, it's gotten better for a lot of different people, because the mainstream media is not the go-to Goliath, that media Goliath that people look at when it comes to searching for content, which in essence changes, you know, influences the way they see other people, see other groups, see how they feel about other, and this is an absolutely immensely good thing. But there is a huge portion of the black population that just really don't want any other group to usurp them. But they shouldn't be in their position to begin with. If everything in this country was fair, was done fairly, they shouldn't be in the position that they are in 2021, which is a fact. I'm going to get flack for this. I'm going to get people saying, how could you say this? But if you actually think about this whole entire cultural situation, social situation, with where blacks are, with where Asians are, with where Latinos are, with where Native Americans are, there is no reason for black people to be where they are in 2021 versus where everybody else just took a back seat at the back of the bus. There's no reason for, unless they went out their way to A, culturally and socially bash the hell out of other racial groups, and B, gone out the way to try to keep that agenda going. And they're having a hard time of it. They're trying to, but they're having a hard time at it, because the media is no longer one monolithic thing. All right, it's been like I said, it's been chopped up into YouTube, it's been chopped up into Facebook videos, it's been chopped up into TikTok, a bunch of different apps. You know, they're not going to be able to do what they wanted to do. You're not going to be able to get 2002 back, 2001, 2002, 2003. You're not going to able to get that back any more than Donald Trump was able to get, you know, 1982, 1983, and 1984, 1985. He wasn't able to do that, and you're not going to be able to do that, which is a good thing for everybody else, because everybody else deserves an equal piece of the pie. This country should not be divided by blacks, whites, and Jews. This country should have a quota system for everybody. For everybody. For everybody. You know, particularly with the media, there should be a quota system where if every single project, there should be an equal amount of Asians, Latinos, Indians, Native Americans, etc., because this is America. It's not Europe. It's not Africa. This is America. So represent America. Represent America, guys.